Hi, my name is Judy and I'm the City Stitcher, and welcome to my Flosstube channel. Today is Sunday, October the 16th, and as you can tell, it is a bright, sunshiny day. Yes, so the sunroom is beautiful and glorious. I have moved, I have got a long sleeve shirt on today, so it's really, do I need a long sleeve shirt right now? No, not necessarily. I could get away with a short sleeve shirt, but in about 3 hours, if I still want to be in the sunroom, which I do, I'll need a long sleeve shirt. It's getting colder here in the evenings. Once the snow starts to fly, I'm gonna have to move inside. It's been a little bit depressing over the last week because as I open the blinds upstairs, I look out onto my balcony and go, all the patio furniture is tarped for the winter. I know. Seasons come, and you know, that's okay. It'll be fine. Summer will come again, I know it. If you are new to this channel, this is a channel about cross stitching. If you are a returning viewer, as always, very grateful for all of you who come back and watch my stitching journey. I will say I'm hoping that this is going to be a shorter video this week, hopefully. As always, thank you for the comments and questions from last week's video. I just realized, I forgot, Linda sent me an email about a free online sale, which I laughed at when I got the email, not because the email was funny, but because that same sale had come across my feed. I don't know whether it was Instagram or Facebook, I don't know where it came from, but I saw it and sort of made a note that I needed to go look at it. So we may talk next week about another free sale that's around. I just need to go check it out. Completely forgot what the name of it is, otherwise I would tell you. But Linda, yes, I got your email. You'll be getting a response from me in hopefully tonight, and I'll go check out that sale. But I thought the timing was funny because I don't know if it was new to her or if she just kind of went, hey, you know, Judy always loves a good free sale. It takes me about 10, 15, 20 years to get to them. That's not the point. I forgot to write down the name. Somebody made a comment. They were wondering when I'm done Sampler of Stitches if I could do a review of the stitches that I enjoyed and the stitches I did not like. And the answer is probably not, because there's over 100 stitches, and quite frankly, if you've been watching any of these, you will know any given week to week, I can't remember the stitches. I essentially can't remember the stitches from 2 weeks ago. I'm not that good. Even when I'm going to do them and I've worked on them over the current week, and then I come back and I go like, and then there's a stitch and I've got no idea what the name is. So I'm not necessarily good. We'll see. I'll think about it, because I think I also have a tendency to block out the ones I hate. Okay, I can clearly remember that I don't like the Van Dyke chain stitch because that's really recent and that was my last most unpleasant experience. But ones that I don't know that there's ones that I've loved. Like most of them I come by and I sail through them and I go, okay, you did that stitch. Ta-da. I don't know that there's one that I love. There's a couple of things where I go like, there are aspects to the sampler where I go like, I really like this part, and that part I can do once I'm done and it's off the scroll frame, and you know, we get to see it in all of its glory, which that day's coming. That day's coming. Anywho, anyway, Rachel Q left a comment for Sarah, who's looking for fancy men. She did say that Bella Filipina has a merman. Don't know if that's in your category of fancy men. I did think about it, but yeah, I was checking in with a couple of people I know, and it's like, yeah, we aren't good. We don't have any really good suggestions for you, but you know, I'm keeping my eye out for you. So yeah. All right, with that, let's get into my stitching this week. It's been a productive week this week, which is good. So as always, once I got the video up and processing, loading, made the notes, had supper, then I sat down to stitch. So I was working on, as we just discussed, the Sampler of Stitches by the Drawn Thread, which is a series of 9 charts. I'm doing this as a sal, which was started by Sarah the Stitchin' Mommy. Oh, I'm so glad she did this. It's worked out so well for me. I am working on so I'm working on VWX. Yeah, we're gonna have shadows here for a bit. VWX. I'm working on the W, and my goal was to get half of W done last week. Gotta get my boards all centered. And I was successful. So there is my W for the windmill. The wave, this is the wave stitch. The windmill is actually just cross stitch and back stitch. And then this stitch, I was gonna say, I don't know what that is. It's woven cross. I do know what it is. So yeah, so 2 specialty stitches got my windmill in. Happy with how that came out. None of these stitches were problematic for me. I just came in and got them done. I always like a specialty stitch where you go, whew, got through that one. Didn't, you know, have to put it in, take it out, and put it in and take it out. So tonight's activity is to do the W and these 3, which are waffle stitches. So I've done those before, so these should be no problem, so I should get that knocked out. Okay, remember last week when I said that, you know, I had every expectation that this chart was going to be done by the end of October. It's going to be done by the end of October because I forgot that there's 5 Sundays. So yes, hopefully, so W will be this week. Next week will be X, and this is all just straight up cross stitches. So I'm pretty sure I can get this knocked out on a Sunday's evening. So that will be, that's not true. Why did I think that there were 5? It's because I don't have my dates right. Today is the 16th. If I get that done today, the 16th, I'm looking way over at my calendar. Today is the 16th, which I'll finish W. Next week, the 23rd. There we go. There is 5. It's because I was starting from the 19th. I don't know why. So the 23rd will be this week, which means on the 30th of October, before we even hit November, I will be working on chart 9 of 9. Yay! I was thinking that I would be finished sort of like by the 2nd Sunday in December. I might be finished by the end of November. Ugh. Anyway, so yes, this is coming along great. This is coming along great. I think I've said this before. I'm so grateful she came up with this idea. I did watch her, she put up a Stitch With Me video up this week. It's just talking about her 2023 plans. I don't think there's anything from her plans that I'm jumping off on, but you just never know. She may change her mind, and you know, we all add things into the plan randomly. So that sampler of stitches coming along great. Hopefully W will be done tonight. We're on track. It does. So I have plans for what happens when this one ends. So stay tuned for that one, because apparently it's potentially going to start in December, which now I've said to myself, man, you need to make sure that thing's ready to go. So then I worked on Monday. I was working on my Country Cottage Needleworks, the Cottage of the Month. So over the course of the week, not just on Monday, but over the course of the week, this one got completed. Yeah, so there is my October. All finished, ready to go. And it's interesting because I know we talked about this when I was working on September, that I was actually getting a little bit tired of the cottages, and I didn't have a problem with this one. So I don't know what it was about September. Maybe it's because I've now realized it's like I get October done. I have two more, and then the whole series is done. So yes, I am doing this on a 32 count Icelandic Blue linen from Witchelt. This one I am using the called for colors. I will say on Thursday night, I had everything done except for these little series of 3 things in between here and the yellow at the centers. That was a total of 85 stitches. So Friday I had 85 stitches to go, and I got that done on Friday. So yeah, there is my October cottage completed. So that was Monday, Thursday, Friday was October cottage, because of course Tuesday was the 11th, and I've added another thing into my schedule. So I'm working on from Just Nan, Remember 911. Yeah, really timely. You know I like a well-aged chart. So I worked on this on Tuesday night. And I'm still on band number 1. So last time you saw it, I had the center bit of the pansy motif and most of these side bits. So I worked on the other 2 pansy motifs, and a little bit of the Soie Perlee came in. Man, this first band has taken me forever to get through. Forever. So I'm hoping when I work on this in November that hopefully I can get this entire first band finished. Like there's a total of 21 bands. This is my second day working on it, and I'm still on band 1. I was looking ahead and going, whew, it'll be so nice to get to the next band, because I think that band number 2, I can get that one knocked out relatively quickly. So I think if I just get through this one, there's still a fair bit to go on this one. But again, the goal is to work on this. This is coming out of, you know, the aging basket anyway, and finally getting worked on. So I am making progress. And again, every stitch that gets put in here is one more stitch than I had when I started. So it's getting worked on, which is the important part. So there is where I'm at on Remember 911 by Just Nan, which of course is going away until next month. So that one only gets worked on. That's one of my designated days. The designated days are getting full because Sundays are sampler of stitches. The 11th of every month is Remember 911. The 6th of every month is my Queen Elizabeth Memorial Pieces. My days are getting full. Anyway, on Wednesday, because I started on October the 7th because I'm joining in the Chatelaine Sal, sort of. So I'm working on the Tiny Marie Antoinette Gate by Chatelaine Designs. This is currently a free chart from Chatelaine Designs. And as I've said before, get them while they're free because they won't necessarily always be free. And so I made a little bit of progress on this one. Right, it goes on the same board that the cottage goes on. So here's where I got to. When I sat down to stitch on this, I had a plan about what I was going to stitch on and what I was going to stitch, and I completely threw that out the window and did something completely different because I haven't made my final decisions on my green, because I was going to try to get all the green done, and I don't have my final decisions. So I threw that out the window. So I did the interior border, which I just stitched with DMC. I did this outer border, same thing, which I did with DMC. I think the called for colors for that, I'm looking for where my I think the called for colors are Rainbow Gallery Silk Lame, Petite Silk Lame probably. Yes, Silk Lame and Silk Lame, neither of which I had. So what's the difference between using a regular DMC and the Silk Lame is the Silk Lame would be a little more sparkly. It's not as sparkly as, like, you know, Treasure Braid or Kreinik or anything like that. But I didn't have it, and as I said, this is small, 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 and I'm doing this from stash. I am not getting in, I'm aiming to not buy anything for this, so I just went right ahead and used the DMC equivalents for those and put it in. I am using Rainbow Gallery Petite Treasure Braid PB25 for the gold here, so I did the top of the gate and this outer border, and got all of that stitched. I know as I was stitching this, it was interesting because I have this chart in Markup RXP, so several of my colors I am now officially at zero stitches in that color left to go. I think one of the things I forgot to say last week is, so for the gate here, the called for is DMC 310. So true to form. If it calls for DMC, straight up cotton DMC, that's when I don't go with the called for. So I had some DMC 310 in the A12. So it's DMC C310. So I used my 310, my A12 for that. It's interesting. I found working with the A12 and 310 challenging. Surprisingly challenging. I was not exactly thrilled with it, which is interesting because if you've been watching me for a while, last October I used a whole bunch of DMC A12. I want to say it was DMC 823 and A12 for my Halloween sampler by Cottage Garden Samplings, and I had no problem. I had a little bit of a fight with the 310. I don't know what the problem was. Anyway, I used it. It's in there. Off we go. So I'm using none of, I think I'm going to end up saying I'm using none of the called for colors in this when we get to the end of it, because I'm kitting it from stash. So I will be working this on Wednesday of this week, so I really do have to sit down and make my green decisions. You know, but I was happy with my progress right up until the point where I watched the Sunshine Stitchers, and Sheila, I feel like she's like further ahead than I am, and she only worked on it one day. It's fine. It's not a competition. It's not a race. Anyway, so yeah, there's my chatelaine designs. We are getting close to, I'm hoping not this week, but the following week we'll be getting into sort of like the specialty stitches, and hopefully not this week, but next week, specialty stitches for sure I'm hoping to get in, which then I think it would take only one more Wednesday after that, and I could get working on the beading, because there's a lot of beads in this thing. A lot of beads. Okay. Okay. And because I finished my Cottage of the Month and that got complete, I needed a reward. And my rewards I'm continuing on from August. So this is Musical Christmas by Artistic Needle. This is out of print. The copyright on this, I should never say things like that. Copyright 1989, and I am doing this table runner on the called for 28 count Christmas Shenandoah linen by Zweigart. The linen has also been discontinued, but you may be able to find a store that has some old stock that has it. I know when I originally brought this out, I had located a store that looked like they had a piece of Christmas Shenandoah in their stock. Mine, of course, I got mine when my mother was saying she wasn't going to cross stitch anymore. She said she wasn't going to cross stitch anymore. She hasn't cross stitched anymore, but she still kept a few things. So there's still some cross stitch in her house. that one of these days will come to me. But this came to me. I've actually had it for years. She sort of destashed quite a while ago, but I've brought it out unexpectedly. This was not part of my 5-year plan either. And I just have to get myself organized. My boards. So I finished harp number 2. This is the one that if you were here last week, I said I had a little bit left over when I finished harp number 1. So I had 20 stitches in this. So I put another 280 into it on the Friday night. So it was a decent stitching night. I'd been out to the Bags, Babies and Beyond sale, which was great. Saw Cheryl there. Also ran into a few friends of mine doing their shopping thing, and went out for dinner, came home, got my 85 stitches into the cottage, and then I did harp number 1. So there is side number 1. So the harp, the trombone, and the drum. And here is, that didn't flip over as well as I'd hoped, side number 2, which has a harp, a trombone, and a drum. So of the 9 squares on this table runner, I now have 6 of 9 done. So we're making progress. I don't know that it's going to be ready for Christmas, but you know, we're making progress, and that's important. I'm actually really pleased that I started working on this. I've got three more squares to go. Two of them, worst case scenario, is the November cottage and the December cottage, which means I just need to be successful. I just need to be successful at one more thing, and then I can work on the center one. Now, the center one is a little more complicated. Surprisingly, out of all of them, the center one is going to have the most stitching out of all of these things. Isn't that just the way that I work things? Yeah. Anyway, so it's coming along. You know, as I said, this is an unexpected add into the plan for this year, but it's working out well for me, and I'm happy with it. Which then brought me to Saturday's stitching, and the subject of this week's topic, which is Art to Heart. I'm working on Bittersweet Pumpkins. So I did work on this on October the 1st. So when we changed over the calendar and we got to October 1st, I worked on both the cottage and this and got them kicked off. 2 new starts for the month of October. This is not going to get finished this month. There's 11,604 stitches in this. Yeah. It's a big stitch. I am doing this on 32 count platinum Lugana. Yeah, brown. Yeah. And so what I got done is I finished this sort of, it looks burgundy on the screen. That is Gentle Arts Weathered Barn. So I finished this color block, worked over here, did the block of amber, worked this top block, which is Autumn Leaves, and worked on this block, I'm calling them blocks, which is River Rocks. Now the River Rocks was also the leaves in here, so that got done, and I still had some, so I sort of did this, sort of began the leaf over there. Some of my plans for Saturday got canceled at the last minute, which sounds wrong, but was totally fine with me because it gave me more stitching time. So I had a very good stitching day yesterday. I think I was 685 stitches yesterday. It was a good stitching day. So that got all filled in. So I am over 1,000 stitches into this, which is positive. That's a good healthy start. I actually, when I started on Saturday, I was like, it'll be interesting to see how long it takes me to get to my 1,000 stitches. And I, had hit over 1,000 stitches by the end of my stitching on Saturday. So my plans for this week are going to kick in because I have plans. There's some whips that need to come out and get worked on as well. So there will be some alternation between this and something else. And it was interesting because I was looking at this. Well, I'd made a note to myself yesterday. It said, you really need to come up with a plan about this. And so I continued that conversation with myself this morning when I was pulling all the stuff together. Because this, this big white pumpkin, and it's also this white block over here, is Janel Art's peach ice cream, which is, this. Which is why I had to go for a darker fabric and not gray, because it wouldn't have worked anyway. So it's dark enough it will show up. But this is 3 skeins. 3 skeins of peach ice cream are needed for this project. Yeah, there's a lot of it. So it was really nice that I started off and went, okay, I did, a block, a block, a block, a block. Sounds great. And then I said to myself, you really need to get working on your peach ice cream. So my plan is, when I pick this up again, is I'm going to start working on this pumpkin. And, I need to I'm going to start off with two lengths. All 6 strands need to go in. I'm starting over here on this pumpkin, need to go in. Then I will come in and do a block. So it's probably going to be this block here, which is a blue block. And however many stitches that is, that I get stitched on that, I will then go and make myself work on peach ice cream. And then I will come back and do another color block and work that same amount. Whatever amount I get stitched on that color is the amount that I need to get stitched in peach ice cream before I can move on to a different color. Because if I got to the end and I had there's almost 3,000 stitches of peach ice cream to do in this project. So I'm going to break it up. Two lengths, then I'm going to come back and do this blue block, however many stitches. Now, I think there's more blue than that. I didn't check though. But however many stitches I get in this blue block, that's what I have to do in peach ice cream before I can come back and do another color of blocks. So yeah. So there is my fall piece that I've worked on. The other interesting thing is when I got to working on this, so as I said, this top color up here is autumn leaves. And the funny thing is, as I sat down to work on that, I looked at my ring of Flosstube bags, and I knew that I had my skein of autumn leaves in there. But I was looking at it and I went, I swear you've used autumn leaves on something else before. So before you get into your new skein, because it was all kitted up, ready to go, check your already started skeins. It's only because they're sitting over there. See if you've already started this and you've got some out there. And I did. It was from the Halloween sampler from last year, which I only needed a little bit of it. And again, I've got this chart in Markup RxP, which is really great because I looked at the total number of stitches that I had left to do, that I had to do in that color, and went, this will easily be done using an already started skein. So, whoops, that's not it. So here is my already started skein after I've used some. And this now needs to go back into stash because I'm not going to need it. I am one of those people, when I kit things up, I kit it up, whatever it is, and those colors stay with that project until it's done. Now, some people sort of say I've got a master list of DMC and it doesn't matter. we all know my timeline for some of my stitching is, you know, could take quite some time. So and DMC can change over the years, because I've inherited my mother's stash, or a good chunk of my mother's stash. I inherited all of my maternal grandmother's cross-stitching stash, and I inherited my aunt's cross-stitching stash. I got all of it. I am the only stitcher in my family. I got all of it. And I can tell you that not all of the DMCs are the same. Depends on the age. Even DMC die lots have changed over the many, many years that my family had been stitching. So when I kit them up, those colors stay with that project until it is complete. And once it is complete, then it goes into, I've got rings of floss away bags, and as I'm kitting up new things, you know, that's the first place I go to. Step number one, do I have some? It's already been started, and go from there. So this goes back into stash, because even when this project is done, you know, this, I think I've got another 17 stitches to go in this color, which is at the top of the stem of one of the pumpkins. You know, I will still have some left. So this firmly goes back into stash. It comes out of the floss away bag, it goes back into stash because it hasn't been started at all. But yes, there's that. I know, getting organized again. Okay, so that is all of the stitching that I did this week. It was a pretty healthy stitching week for me. I haven't added up the number of stitches because I'm not tracking them by week, but again, having some plans unexpectedly cancel for yesterday, I'm telling you, it's like a 685 stitch day. That was a good day. Anyway, so yeah, made good progress. Worked on, I did look at my calendar and counted up the colors that I've got going on my calendar and went, you know, I worked on a total of 6 projects this week. 6 of them all got touched, and I'm happy with the progress on all of them. Okay, technically remembered 911. It would have been nicer if I'd gotten a little bit more, but that's life. There's more there than there was. There's more stitches in that now than there was at the beginning of the week, so that was positive. All right, with that, let's get to some stash quisitions. I have a little order that came in. So I've got some, I'm not going to give you the colors. I've got some Valdani threads. I should put this up against a board. That would make everybody happier. Although there's huge sunlight coming in now. So I picked up some Valdani threads. These are for our project in the 5-year plan. I think this project is in 2025. This is not all of the ones that I need. I need a few more, but I took a stab at getting it kitted up. So those came. Sorry, they have to go in the bag because the bag needs to go with the project. 2 charts. This is Stacy Nash Primitives. I can't read it backwards. House on Pumpkin Hill Pin Keep. I know, it's a fallish thing. So I will have to, I have to check to see. I don't think I've got any of the 4 overdyed threads for these. That reminds me, we should go back and have a quick chat about that. I will get the overdyed threads for these because they're big blocks of color, so you will see the variegation, which we're going to go back to the Bittersweet Pumpkin. So Bittersweet Pumpkin is, calls for Gentle Arts and Weeks Dye Works overdyed flosses. And I will say, for me, it was worth investing in those variegateds because, you know, because they're such big blocks of color, you do see that variegation. And as I said last week, when I'm doing this, I am specifically stitching vertically, like up and down, because that is the way that I want the variegation to show up. I don't want it to run horizontally. I want it to run up and down. So I've made that decision. How you stitch with variegated works for you. Now, there are DMC equivalents for all of these. So do I think that this would look worse if you did it all in DMC? No, I think it would be just as lovely in DMC. I wanted to have the over-dyed effect on mine, and it was worth it to me to invest in the over-dyed cottons to do this. It's not necessarily in everybody's budget. It's not everybody's taste. So I think this chart would look just as lovely in straight up DMC as it does in the overdyed cottons. Personal preference. Anyway, which is why on this one, I probably am going to invest in getting the 4, it's only 4 Gentle Arts colors for this. I don't think I have, I was looking and going, I don't think I have any of them. So I'm gonna have to go get those. This is not currently sitting in the 5-year plan, so at some point over the next 10 years I need to, you know, get those 4 colors of Gentle Arts. I also bought this is Bellatrix by Bella Filipina. Gary from Garon Stitchery stitched this and it looked stunning. I'd been looking at this for a while, and when I was placing this order, I went, just get it. Stop having it on your wish list. Just add it to the cart and be done with it. There's no explicit plans as to when this is going to get worked on, but it's in the stash. And I did very carefully break the seal. It looks like it's intact, but it's not. It's actually, I've broken into the steel and I've broken into the packaging. And had a good look at, which you can tell because these leaves are out. Had a good look at the chart. So this is also not in the 5-year plan, and that's totally fine because you like I like a well-aged chart. And then I've got a friend out there who is going to start laughing any minute now. I picked up 3 needle minders. I'll explain why they're laughing. 3 right now. She's already laughing, I can tell. So this one is from, actually I'll take it out of the bag. This one is from My Big Toe. Why? Because I thought it was pretty. And this is a Zappy Dots one. This is from a design by the Blue Flower, and it says Gather with Joy. So that one's going to get cracked into as soon as I'm done making this video, because this is the one that's going to belong on my Bittersweet Pumpkins one. And the third one I got is also a Zappy Dots, and it says Hello Spring. This is a design by, I'm pretty sure it's Plum Street Samplers. I need this one. This is going to go with my Lent stitch for 2023. Now, I'm not stitching this for Lent, that's not the point, but I needed a thematic, I needed a thematic needle minder for my Lent stitch. There you go. It's not a want, it's a need according to me. Anyway, now the reason why my friend is laughing is because there was a day and a time where I said, I don't understand all these people with these big collections of needle minders. Now, it was totally made sense at the time, because when I made that statement, I was a monogamous stitcher. I only worked on one project at a time. So, you know, why would you need 20 different, you know, needle minders? You know, I don't need 20 when I'm working on one project. If you're a monogamous stitcher and you have 20 needle minders, there's nothing wrong with that either. If you're do whatever makes you happy. But now that I'm working, I've now over the years become someone who's working on multiple projects at a time. Honestly, if you went back and told me 10 years ago that over the course of 1 week I would have worked on 6 different projects, I would have looked at you like, you know, you were an alien. Anyway, everybody's stitching journey changes. like I said, I got to the end of the week, I counted up the colors and went, wow, I worked on 6 projects this week. No, not six finishes. There was 1 finish in there, which was good, but not 6 finishes. And I'm okay with that because my stitching plans and how I operate have changed over the years, which is totally fine. So I am now one of those people that I need a collection of needle minders because I have multiple projects going and I need needle minders of them of appropriate sizes. I do have to say I really do love the Zappy Dot ones. I find they're very good. Yeah, so from a brand perspective, I would probably say Zappy Dots are my favorite. I clearly buy other ones because they're pretty, but yeah, my go, because these are the right size for me. You can get some really large needle minders, you can get some really small ones. The one that normally belongs on the musical Christmas is this little tiny blingy present. Now, again, this is the perfect size for those because it is really, really small. But it still is strong enough to hold a couple of needles and my needle threader. So yes, I need multiple sizes. Yeah, I'm totally justifying things, but anyway. So there are my 3 needle minders, and that was the order that arrived this week. Yes, so now all of this packaging goes away. This one immediately gets put on one. This is actually directly going into the project bag for Lent for next year. Yay! I'm very happy with this. All right, and those are my stashquisitions for this week, which means we are now at the topic, which is great. We are only 40 minutes in and we're getting to the topic, and it's going to be a relatively short topic. When I start new projects that are from designers that I have not stitched with, I feel like I need to lean this way a little bit till, you know, either the sun solidly goes behind that drape or whatever. When I start working on a project that is from a designer that I have not stitched on before, I like to do a quick review of the designer and the charts from that designer that I have in my stash. So when I started in September and I was working on the Just Nan Remember 911, I didn't do a designer focus because I had worked on Just Nan in 2021. If you're looking for that video, it is in January of 2021. It's when I was working on the Lady Scarlet's journey. So I did a review of Just Nan and the charts that I had in my stash at that point in time. So when I bring out a new Just Nan, I don't necessarily feel like I need to do sort of a focus on Just Nan and go over it again, particularly when I did one like last year. If there was like a 5-year gap, maybe I would probably consider doing it again, but not for that one. This one, however, is the first time that I've worked on an art-to-heart design. And it's the first time I've worked on an art-to-heart design in my entire stitching life. And I will say, as far as I can tell, art-to-heart is not very well known from a designer perspective. And I can also tell you, I have brought my entire collection of art-to-heart designs with me to show on this particular video. So a little bit about art-to-heart. So the design company Art to Heart is primarily focused on quilting and applique designs. So if you are a multi-craftual person and you do either of those things, possibly you may have heard of this designer before. They don't have a lot of cross-stitching designs, but the inspiration for the cross-stitch designs are designs that they have done for quilting or applique. And that became the inspiration to convert those patterns into a cross-stitch pattern. They don't have a lot of designs. So believe it or not, I actually did my research this time. So I went on to their website, which is arttoheart.com. It will be in the notes section below if you're looking for it. There will be 2 links, one to the overall website and one I know how to go in. There's this, you can actually go and look at just the cross-stitch patterns. So that will be the second one. They don't have a lot of cross-stitch patterns. They have a total of, wait for it, 24 patterns. 24, that's all they've got. And most of those patterns, as far as I can tell, have been done in collaboration with Just Another Button Company. Where did it go? So Bittersweet Pumpkins. Hang on a second. I'm like, I know it's orange. It's got to be here. Here we go. So Bittersweet Pumpkins, and I think I mentioned this 2 weeks ago when I first started this. There is a button pack that came with the chart. So there are the buttons that go with this chart. You know, so button, button, you know, button, button. Anyway, there's a random amount of buttons on here. That's the button pack that comes with it. And as far as I can tell, isn't it fun watching how the sun moves like in real time? So as far as I can tell, all of the Art to Heart cross-stitch charts come with a button pack. Now, I haven't gone in and checked all of them to confirm, but as far as I can tell, you can also order directly from Art to Heart. That's not where I got mine. I ordered them through my my local needlework shop for my collection. If your local needlework shop is also, if you're looking to order from your local needlework shop, I did check the distributors. Art to Heart is not, like, you can't get it through Hoffman, you can't get it through Yarn Tree, you can't get it through Witchelt, which are sort of like, in my head, sort of like the 3 biggest distributor of cross-stitching supplies. There are other distributors, but those are the 3 that I have access to, where I can sort of go in and check readily as a not in the industry, a retail customer. But you can, like, I know one, I'm pretty sure that one of the ones that I've got, Janice from Traditional Stitches got it directly from Just Another Button Company. So if your local needlework shop orders from Just Another Button Company, or as I like to call them, Jabco, because that's easier, you can order them through Jabco as well. So yes, so that's really sort of, you know, what I've got to say about Art to Heart as a design company. So here come my full collection of all of the designs that I personally have in my stash from Art to Heart. So not surprisingly, because we've already talked about it, Bittersweet Pumpkins, which I added to my collection because I went, I should maybe do something for fall, but you know, I'm color sensitive sometimes. Anyway, the next 2 shouldn't surprise anybody because they're Christmas themed. So this one is Merry Christmas. So the button pack is the cardinal and a red button, which, so there's the cardinal and the red button goes in here to be the berry. Now this is done on 30 count grasshopper linen from Weeks Dye Works, which I wouldn't be doing. That's not, for me, this is not the right color of fabric, so I would adjust that. I think green is correct. Grasshopper is not correct. Similar to Bittersweet Pumpkins, all of the called for colors for this design are Weeks Dye Works or Gentle Arts overdyed threads, because again, it gives you this variegation. But there are DMC and Anchor conversions for all of it, so you do not have to get the overdyed cottons to do this. So there's Merry Christmas. And my last one is Fa la la. This is done on 30 count guacamole linen by Weeks Dye Works. I think it's also the wrong color. Green, yes, not that one. And this also has a number of, I would say most of the called for colors for this design are also Weeks Dye Works or Gentle Arts. That's not true. I think it's all Weeks Dye Works. Sorry, I just need to get my button pack out of the way. I think it's all Weeks Dye Works. Yeah, I think this is all Weeks Dye Works for this one. Here's the button pack for that one. So a snowflake, ornaments, blue, 2 red, and these large peppermint one and a small one. So that's the button pack that goes with that. This doesn't have a design size. I'm going to pull it out. I'm afraid to look to see what the design size on this one. Oh, not too bad. 90 by 88. So on 16 count or 32 count, it would only be 5.5 by 5.5 by 5.5. That's not bad. All right, not too bad. That's smaller than Bittersweet Pumpkins. Okay, see now, anyway, I shouldn't start investigating. I have a 5-year plan. These are not in the 5-year plan, these Christmas ones. Anyway, and that is all that I have. So I have three Art to Heart charts in my collection of the 24 that they have published. So again, it's not like there's hundreds and hundreds of charts like some designers have. There's a total of 24. So go have a look. You know, they're garden themed, Christmas themed. Trying to think of what else I saw in there. I'm clearly drawn to the Christmas ones. I felt I was very bold getting that Bittersweet Pumpkins one, but anyway. And that is the end of the topic. That's all I've got on Art to Heart. It's a little designer with a few charts for cross stitch. So if they appeal to you, like I say, I think you can get them directly from Art to Heart. If not, your local needlework shop can get them through Just Another Button Company if you're looking for those. Yeah, so that's all I've got for you this week. We are going to have it under an hour. It's awesome. So as always, thinking of the people of the Ukraine, thinking of all the people that are suffering from the after effects of the hurricanes that have gone through both Eastern Canada and through the US. There's, of course, been some violence this week, which is, anyway, yeah. Anyway, violence always perplexes me, but that's me. So as always, you know my words are stay safe, stay safe, stay safe. Safety first. Safety first. It's very important. So I hope you are staying safe. I hope you are staying healthy. And I hope that you're finding to do some stitching and that your stitching is bringing you enjoyment, stress relief, a mental break, whatever you need it to be. I hope it's bringing that for you. As always, if you have any comments, questions, topics you would like me to address, always happy to have that conversation in the comments section down below. And I look forward to seeing you next week. Take care.